Welcome back for another video with my top book recommendations on the Bible. This week, I'm going to give you my top books on the Old Testament book of Exodus. Exodus is where I have been camping out for the past 14 years or so, studying deeply. I wrote my master's thesis on Exodus. I wrote my doctoral dissertation on Exodus. I've produced several books and many articles since then on Exodus. So I hang out in the book a lot. And today I'm going to give you my top recommendations, top 2 books on each level for the book of Exodus. These will be mostly commentaries, but not exclusively commentaries. I'm Dr. Carmen Imes, Associate Professor of Old Testament at Biola University's Talbot School of Theology. And we're going to start off on the bottom shelf. And this is a book that I recommend all the time. This is Michael Morales' Exodus Old and New, A Biblical Theology of Redemption. So this is not a commentary on Exodus, but he has a ton of insights on Exodus that are just wonderful. He's a very astute reader of Scripture. I recommend that you pick up everything he writes. Michael Morales. So that's a great book on Exodus. Another book, or actually 2-part book, is not quite a commentary, but you could sort of read it alongside your reading of Exodus, is Walter Brueggemann's book, Delivered Out of Empire. Brueggemann, I have another video on Brueggemann. If you haven't seen it yet, make sure you click on the card at the top of the screen that will take you to my best books by Walter Brueggemann. He died earlier this year. These 2 books are a pair. Delivered Out of Empire is Pivotal Moments in the book of Exodus, and then Delivered into Covenant, Pivotal Moments in the book of Exodus, part 2. So this is a 2-part series on the 2 halves of the book, being the exit out of Egypt and the entrance into the covenant, which are really the 2 parts of Exodus. He's got lots of great insights. This is very accessible. It's a good taste of Brueggemann and the way that he reads the Bible. You could read it devotionally and would be very enriching. Okay, so now for commentaries. On the middle shelf, these would be really helpful commentaries for a pastor, someone teaching through the book of Exodus, somebody who's got questions about Exodus and wants to find answers. The first one I'll recommend is this exegetical commentary by Victor Hamilton. It's published by Baker Academic. It's not in a series, but it's laid out really helpfully. I had a colleague at Prairie College who borrowed this from me and read it cover to cover devotionally. So he has his own translation of the Hebrew for each section, and then he has comments on the grammatical and lexical things, decisions that he made as he was translating, and then verse by verse comment on interesting things that he found along the way, things that he felt like would be helpful. And this is a great resource. This is the first commentary that I've seen in print that takes my view of how to interpret the command not to take the Lord's name in vain. So Victor Hamilton is the first one to float the idea. He got it from Daniel Block, my doctoral mentor, and this was the first time it made it into print. Probably my number 1 commentary recommendation on Exodus. If you could only buy one commentary, which one would it be? I would recommend this new one by Christopher Wright in the Story of God Bible Commentary series. It's so good. He has lots of great insights. I love the way he pays attention to literary design, theological themes. He and I are very like-minded. He wrote the foreword to my book, Bearing God's Name. We see things very similarly. We're both indebted to the global church for insights that they're teaching us. He also advances my reading of the command not to take the Lord's name in vain. He takes my view of that. Really a helpful resource. This one is very accessible and very pastoral all the way through. So it'd be wonderful for somebody who's preaching through Exodus, a great resource. Finally, 2 commentaries that go on the top shelf on Exodus, and I'm only putting them on the top shelf because the kind of people they'll appeal to would be somebody who's really trying to do a deep dive to get into the background behind the Bible, that sort of thing. So I have already recommended this series, the Zondervan Illustrated Bible Backgrounds Commentary series, edited by John Walton. The section on Exodus was written by Bruce Wells. He does an amazing job of showing Egyptian background to things, especially parallels between the Bible and other ancient Near Eastern texts or artifacts. And what I love about this series is that it's organized like a commentary. So if you're reading along, you're reading through the signs and wonders, you come to the locusts and you want to know, okay, why, what's going on here? What species is this? How does this work in this region? You just turn here to Exodus 10, verse 4, and it tells you all the things you need to know from the ancient world. You got pictures of where locusts appear in ancient art, that sort of thing. So really a helpful resource. It's not super technical, so you could access it as an undergraduate student. This would be a helpful resource to have. But I put it on the top shelf just because of the nature of who would be most interested in this information would be somebody who's really wanting to dig deep and maybe not rush to the application, but think about the text. Finally, William Propp's commentary on Exodus. It's 2 volumes. So this is the Exodus 1 to 18 volume. And so obviously lots of information on Exodus, virtually exhaustive. He talks about so many different things. Sometimes he's barking up the wrong tree, but I actually feel like he's assembled a lot of really helpful data here for people who want to dig deep and do a deep dive into Exodus. So these are my recommendations of commentaries and resources by other people on the book. Next week, check back and I'm going to share with you the work that I've done on Exodus, and I'll put it on the different shelves so that if you want to see what I've written on Exodus, you can see kind of where a good entry point would be for you. All right, have a great week and let's keep reading.